Hey, it's Caleb, and I'm here with Matthew, who will be on the video in a minute, but we are going to show you how to make homemade almond milk. In the 80-day obsession plan, I don't think you really get to drink much of anything other than water and fresh squeezed lemon juice, and plain coffee and tea, but you can substitute 1 spoon for 8 ounces of unsweetened almond milk in your Shakeology. So I'm going to show you how you can make your own almond milk at home if that's something you want to do. So the first thing you have to do, Matthew's here too to help us. The first thing you have to do is put your almonds into a bowl, and you want to soak them in water for about 12 hours. So we soaked them last night because otherwise this video would be 12 hours long. But you just put them in a bowl, you cover it with water, and they get really big and plump because this bowl was only full to like a little bit last night, and then they filled up. And then first thing you want to do is strain your almonds and rinse them off because they're in kind of that like icky water from just sitting in themselves. And then you have 2 options at this point. You can shell each and every almond individually. The almond landed over there, so we're not going to use that one. You can shell every almond individually. That takes quite a long time. The milk does taste better if you shell the almonds. It can have a little bit of a bitter taste if you don't shell the almonds, but if you're just putting it into your Shakeology, which if you are doing the 80-day obsession eating plan, probably the only time you're going to be having almond milk is when you put it in your Shakeology. It doesn't make a big difference whether you shell them or you don't shell them. So we generally don't shell them. We have a blend tech, and you can do this whether you have like a $300 blender or a $20 blender. I used to do it when I was in school with my really cheap blender. And what you want to do is you want to fill about 2 cups of almonds. Well, 1 cup of almonds and 2 cups of water. So I do 2 cups of almonds and then 4 cups of water, but it's a 1-to-2 ratio, and it's not an exact science, so if you get it off a little bit, that's not a very big deal. We have a measuring here on the blender. If you don't have that, you can just use a measuring cup. So we put it to there with almonds, and then we fill it with water. I would probably use filtered water because you're going to be drinking this. When I soak the almonds, I just use regular water, but for this part, I use filtered water. We just have a filter on our thing. And then you're going to blend it. We have a special juice setting that we use. But if you just have a regular blender, you can use whatever setting. And you just want to blend it until the water is white, and then I would probably go for about another 10 seconds. So we're going to pause the video because it's going to be really loud. Alright, and so now we've blended up the almonds and we've got this milk, but there is definitely almond chunks in it. So what you want to get is either, we have a fancy nut bag to use. You can also use pantyhose. Obviously, you want to buy fresh pantyhose and not use the ones that your smelly feet have been in to squeeze out your milk. But you'll hold it, and I can pour it in while you hold it. And you'll pour your milk into either your nut bag or your brand new pantyhose. And then you squeeze it out. And this will get your milk out, and then all the remnants of the almond will stay in the bag. And we do a pretty big batch. We still have quite a few almonds, so we'll get quite a bit of milk out of this. You don't want to do too much because it won't stay good forever. But we try to do it about once a week. We've been pretty lazy about doing it lately and just putting almonds straight into our shake and mixing it in that way. But the problem with that is that you get the whole almond, and that's not really called for in the 80-day obsession meal plan. So we're going to try to get back on top. We used to do this every week for our shakes, and then we just got out of the habit. We got lazy. So we're going to try to get back on top of that for 80-day obsession and make milk every week. You can also freeze the milk if you want to save it, if you make a lot. Okay, so now we're putting the pulp onto a cooking tray, because what you can do if you want to is put this in the oven at about 1 to 200 degrees, not too hot, otherwise it'll burn. 1 to 200 degrees, and just dry it out. And once it's dry, you can put it into a blender and blend it up. And it makes almond flour, which we have here, which we save, which you can use for a flour replacement, or you can use it for a blue container if you need to add almond to something to make up for your blue container. And then, oh yeah, what I was saying is you can also freeze it. If you do freeze it, we use glass jars, and usually I put it on without the lid and then put the lid on after it's frozen, because one time we cracked a jar because it was a little bit warm from going through the blender. But that's it. That's how you can make your own homemade unsweetened almond milk to use in your Shakeologies.